Good morning, everyone. It's Mark. Hey, I'm traveling this week, so I couldn't be at the sales meeting this morning, but Dana asked me to share a few thoughts on the NAR settlement with you. So I apologize if it's been the only thing that you've heard about all week, from Jared James to Tom Ferry to the NAR president to the REMAX person to everybody on social media to everybody in the news industry, writing all of these horrendous articles about how mean-spirited and overpaid real estate people are. I mean, it's created a lot of uncertainty and a lot of chaos in our industry. I understand that. And I hesitate to add to that because I'm really in this process of trying to figure out how to advise you guys all moving forward. So I'm going to start with a quick story about one of my favorite people, Bill Young. Bill Young and I were sitting in a meeting at the Northwoods 10, 11, 12 years ago about some controversial topic. I don't know whether it was a board-related matter or whether it had something to do with our company at the time. But there was a round table of people and we were talking about a bunch of things. And I know that Bill's a real smart person. And Bill was really quiet during the meeting. So one of the breaks, I said, Bill, you've been really quiet and haven't offered any thoughts. What are you thinking? And he said, Mark, I've learned that when I'm talking, I'm not learning anything new. I only learn something new when I'm listening. And I remember how impressed I was with that, impressed enough with that thought that I'm sharing it with you now, over a decade later, is that the approach that I'm taking and the approach that I'm asking all of you to take is to really gather information. We've got 3 or 4 months to learn how to articulate our value, to learn the buyer-broker agreement, to come up with a business plan and a way of presenting our value to others. Plus, we have the opportunity to listen to everybody else's ideas about how to move forward with this change in a positive way. So I would say take it slow, listen more than we talk, share ideas, and just be sure that we're going to be moving forward positively, okay? So here's the meat and the nuts and bolts of the message that I want to give you is that the NAR settlement, is pretty straightforward. It says that buyer-broker compensation will no longer be offered through the MLS. It will no longer be offered through the MLS. It doesn't say that the seller won't pay the buyer-broker's commission. It doesn't say anything like that. It says that it will not be offered through the MLS, meaning that the seller and the listing broker will no longer negotiate the fee that the buyer-broker is going to receive representing their buyer. And it's put that burden of the negotiation of the buyer-broker fee on the buyer and the buyer's broker to negotiate using a buyer-broker agreement, which is going to be a new requirement of this settlement, is that NAR is going to require every buyer's agent to use a buyer-broker agreement with their client. That's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. The most likely end up of this whole thing, at least in the beginning, is that the listing agent negotiates their fee with the listing or with the seller, and they put it in the MLS, and the buyer broker and the buyer negotiate their fee, and they have a written agreement. And then at the time a purchase offer is negotiated, how that buyer broker is going to be paid is going to be negotiated at that time. I truly believe that, at least for the foreseeable future, that the seller is going to continue to pay the buyer-broker fee. It's just going to be negotiated at the time of the sale rather than being offered in the MLS, okay? It may be different than that. So, here's the noise. The noise is that, commissions are too high and half the agents are going to leave the business. And, I don't think any of that's true. It doesn't have to be true, Commissions are only too high because for every person that does a transaction, we waste time with 10 or 15 people that don't close a deal. We're paid on a commission. We're not paid for our time. In any business, water seems to find its own level. Markets seem to level out and self-correct. And I think commissions are exactly where they're supposed to be for the work that we do. And now that we're changing the structure of how that takes place, there are going to be some changes, but maybe it is that we don't work with people that don't waste our time anymore. The commissions are lower, but we make just as much money as we always have because we're not wasting our time with people that won't sign a buyer-broker agreement. I don't know for sure how it's going to end up, but I know that we're going to be fine. So I've only had, I think 3 or 4 people here in this last week reach out to me directly to talk about it. I look forward to having ongoing conversations with all of you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Bear in mind I'm going to be at the RE/MAX convention next week, so I won't be available until, probably after Easter weekend to talk about it. But be assured that all I do is think about this business. Dan and Simeon are, going to be supportive of all the changes that we need to take place and we need to make going forward. And so we're going to be making suggestions to you, best practices and things that you can do in order to be successful, as we always have. And as an independent contractor, you're going to have the ability to adopt those suggestions, modify them, use your entrepreneurial spirit, okay, to navigate this change. So, with that, I'm going to sign off today. You guys enjoy the rest of your meeting, and I look forward to talking to you all soon.